right, PreCalc, we're going to look at a word problem, and then we're going to talk about this thing called the ambiguous case. I do need you to read that, but we'll get there, talk about that when we get there. You will see a lot of word problems. This is a very typical SAT, ACT word problem, and a lot of you guys probably have wondered in the past how to figure this out because it's not a right triangle, so some of you might have imagined it is. But notice it says, because of prevailing winds, a tree grew so that was leaning 6 degrees from the vertical. Well, notice I have a picture here. The vertical would have put it 90 degrees, but now it's leaning an extra 6. I know that's an exaggerated 6 degrees, but that's where we get a total of 96 degrees. At a point 30 meters from the tree, the angle of elevation. So notice how I made the 30 meters here from the tree to an angle of elevation being of 22.5 degrees. Find the height. So now we're looking for this height right here, okay, of my leaning tree. So I'm on example 2, and we're just going to figure out how to figure this out. I am looking for, let's call this A, but I have to find across from this. So the first thing I'm going to do is take that 180 degrees. I'm going to subtract 96 and subtract 22.5. All right, so you probably did that, and you notice that that was 61.5 degrees. So notice now we can set it up. I can do 30 over the sine of 61.5 is equal to, well, I need my A over my 22, oops, I forgot my sine of 22.5 degrees. All right, so I'm going to give you a minute to cross multiply and solve for the height of the tree. All right, so when I solved this, I just went ahead and used the cross multiplication. I took 30 times the sine of 22.5. And notice you could just put that right next to one another. You don't have to actually put times. I don't know if you noticed that. And then I'm just going to divide it by the sine of 61.5. And yes, I use parentheses just to be safe. And for A, what did y'all get for A? I got 13.3 meters. How'd y'all do? So we will have a Google Meet next week regarding the ambiguous case, but we're going to look right here in example 4 to talk about this ambiguous case a little bit. So I just want to introduce to you, if you could look in your book is online. I'll make sure that chapter 7 is there online in your stream. But what happens is a triangle ends up not being able to work out. So example 4 says, show that there is no triangle for which A is 60 degrees, little a is 4, and B is 14. So of course, the first thing I'm going to do is draw my triangle. And I show A, B, C, and it tells us A is 60 degrees. We don't know B or C, but we know that, let me switch colors here, little a is 4 and B is 14. Now, one thing we have to remember is that the sine of anything, I'll just call it A, is between 1 and -1. So when we start to calculate this, you're going to notice that this is not going to work. So I'm going to put over what I know. I'm going to take 4 over the sine of 60 degrees is equal to, well, I have that B, 14 over the sine of B. And just like I did before, I'm going to cross multiply. 14 times the sine of 60, and then I could divide by 4. All right, so when I do that, I notice that I end up getting the sine of B is equal to 3.03. This is what we call an ambiguous case. This triangle cannot exist because we know the information that sine has to be between -1 and 1. So we would say that no triangle can be formed here because this contradicts the fact that the sine of B, in this case, Has to be between -1 and +1. So I do need you to turn your book to chapter 6, sorry. I think I said it's 7 earlier. Chapter 6, section 1. And I want you to just look at the pictures of the triangles, because I don't have them in my notes, of this ambiguous case. We're really going to talk about this next week. So we will have a Google Meet at your first meeting next week on the Wednesday. Thank you.